All right, today we're talking about the absolute worst stepmother to ever exist outside of fairy tales. And no, we're not talking about the kind that just makes snide comments at Thanksgiving. We're talking about full-blown, straight out of a horror movie levels of evil. Her name? Kimberly Sullivan. Her crime? Holding her own stepson captive for over 2 decades, starving him and treating him worse than an afterthought. She isolated him from the world, deprived him of basic human needs, and subjected him to relentless psychological and physical abuse. The impact on her stepson was devastating. He was left malnourished, traumatized, and robbed of a normal life. And trust me, by the time we're done, you're going to want to personally launch this woman into the sun. Imagine you're 11 years old. You should be out playing, making friends, maybe getting into dumb kid trouble. But instead, you're locked in a house with someone who makes the Grinch look like a humanitarian. That's exactly what happened to this poor guy, who, for 20 years, was basically erased from existence. No school, no doctor visits, no outside life, and certainly no real food. The house was a nightmare, filthy, with broken furniture and a stench that could make you gag. By the time he finally escaped, he weighed 68 pounds. His daily life was a cycle of fear and hunger. That's not a person. That's a walking skeleton. He was forced to sleep on the cold, hard floor, with nothing but rags for warmth. And let me tell you, you don't get to 68 pounds by accident. That takes years of intentional starvation, neglect, and abuse. He was often left in isolation, with no one to talk to and nothing to do. This woman saw a literal child wasting away and thought, yeah, this is fine. And now, let's meet our villain of the day. Kimberly Sullivan, a woman who looks like she reeks of bad decisions and regret. A woman who woke up every single morning for 20 years and chose cruelty. Now, let's get one thing straight. This isn't some case of, oh, she was just struggling to be a mom. No. This callous excuse for a guardian didn't just neglect her stepson, she actively tormented him. He was locked away like a forgotten relic, confined to a dark, cluttered basement. He was starved down to a skeleton, his ribs protruding from his frail body. He was so desperate for water, he had to drink out of the sink or toilet, his parched throat burning with every sip. And meanwhile, this disgrace of a human being was just living her best life, probably microwaving frozen dinners and scrolling through social media while her stepson suffered in silence. Can we just take a moment to process how completely unhinged you have to be to keep a human hostage for 2 decades and go about your day like nothing's wrong? Kimberly's behavior was beyond cruel. It was monstrous. Now, how did this poor guy finally get out? Did someone notice something was wrong? Nope. Did a concerned neighbor step in? Hell no. Did anyone at any point give a single thought? Not at all. This dude had to go full survival mode. He set the damn house on fire just to get someone to notice he even existed. And when first responders arrived, he literally told them, I just wanted my freedom. Excuse me while I go scream into a pillow. Imagine the desperation he felt, meticulously planning his escape, knowing it was his only chance. The fear, the anxiety, the sheer willpower it took to light that match, hoping it would lead to his freedom. And when the flames roared, so did his hope, burning away years of torment. So after 20 years of being a monster, this walking disaster finally got arrested. The police swarmed her house in the early morning, catching her completely off guard. And now she's facing first-degree assault, second-degree kidnapping, unlawful restraint, cruelty to persons, and reckless endangerment. The courtroom was packed, with everyone eager to see justice served. Sounds good, right? Except it's not enough. Where's the life sentence? Where's the locked in a cage for 20 years punishment? The cold, unforgiving bars of a prison cell seem too lenient for her, because you cannot convince me that any amount of jail time is enough for this level of cruelty. The evidence is overwhelming and horrifying. And of course, her lawyer is trying to say the charges are outlandish. The defense is grasping at straws, trying to paint a different picture. Ma'am, your client starved a man into being 68 pounds. The medical records are a testament to her cruelty. I promise you, outlandish is the only appropriate word here. The courtroom's tension is palpable as the trial unfolds. So where is the real victim in all of this? Thankfully, he's out. He's free. He's finally getting medical care, receiving the attention he was denied for so long. But let's be honest, you don't just recover from 2 decades of captivity. His physical wounds are healing, but the emotional scars run deep. He missed his entire childhood, never knowing the joy of playing with friends or going to school. He missed his entire teenage years, a time meant for growth and self-discovery. He spent 20 years being treated like a prisoner in his own home, deprived of basic human rights. This poor man has an entire lifetime of healing ahead of him, both physically and mentally. He's undergoing intensive therapy to rebuild his life. And all because one cruel stepmother decided to be the absolute worst person alive. So there you have it, the horrifying case of Kimberly Sullivan, the stepmother from hell. Let this be a stark reminder: if you ever suspect something suspicious going on with a neighbor, a friend, or a family member, speak up. Your vigilance could save lives. This poor man lost 2 decades of his life because nobody took action. Always trust your instincts and report any unusual behavior. And don't forget, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Your support helps us bring more stories to light. Or I'll make it illegal for you to skip my next video.